Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into my top 5 American single malts. This list is going to be a little different than my typical list. So, this isn't actually my top 5 American single malts. This is my top 5 American single malt distilleries. And why I'm making this video is because American single malt is a very small subsection of American whiskey, and it's a very craft forward subsection. So I've recently gone like way crazy into the world of American single malts. I've had some that are fantastic. I've had some that are not so fantastic. So I thought I would bring you guys a list of 5 American single malt distilleries that I happen to really like, and I think either 5 of these distilleries will be a great distillery to look into. And again, not everyone is heavily into the world of American single malt or, even rye whiskey or whatever. So American single malt may or may not be for you, but if you do like it, these are the 5 distilleries that I think are worth trying if you're into that. And all these, since it is very a craft forward type thing, you might not have the availability to get all of these bottles, but at least one of these 5 will be a good fit for you. And to kick it off in no particular order, except for the first one, because the first one happens to have my favorite American single malt, which is Westward American Single Malt Whiskey. So this is a Oregon-based craft distillery. They make American single malts. They make so many different versions. I've tried this one, the stout version, the Pinot Noir, which is my favorite one. The Pinot Noir one is fantastic. And I've tried the cask strength one. So they make a lot of really, really good ones. I like this one because it's very malty. It's very balanced, very dark, like dark malty chocolate, a little bit of coffee. But it also has like a nice fruity aspect, especially this one, because that finish brings in a lot of dark red fruits. But honestly, these are all really solid. This one's about like 65, 75 in most areas, and it's well worth it. And I think this is a great place to start out just for a basic, semi-typical American single malt. I mean, let's be honest, American single malt's such a small category. You don't really know what you're gonna get. It's kind of rolling the dice. But in my opinion, I think Westward is probably the most balanced of the scales. So if the scale's here, I think Westward's kind of right there in the middle of it. So I think it's a really good place to start, followed by another one that's also another great place to start, which is Stranahan's Single Malt. So this is a Colorado-based craft distillery. They make, I believe, only single malts. But they are fantastic. Their single barrels are fantastic. I've also tried just their normal rendition, as well as, I think it was a sherry finish one. I'm not quite sure, but so this stuff is finished in Colorado. So it's like a lighter temperate climate. It's very bright, vibrant, fruity. So this is kind of the lighter, more fruit forward side of American single malt. This particular one I have is a single barrel, so it's at 113.04 proof, so it's a little bit higher in proof, but the mouthfeel and the viscosity of these are fantastic. And again, it's a lighter, vibrant side of American single malt. So if you're someone who's like, say, into a lot of like scotches or, like Irish whiskey, and you want to check out something that's an American product, this stuff is really, really good because, again, it's lighter, less dark maltiness. It's just a fantastic, fantastic offering from them. And I truly enjoy all their stuff, especially the sherry cask finish one. And next up, we have actually a local one to me, which I know their distribution's rough, so unless if you live in a neighboring state, you're probably not going to get this, or if you have like a friend, whatever. It's Delbach. These guys are fantastic. So they're out of Tucson, Arizona, and they make really, really good American single malts. So these are kind of like Southwestern inspired single malts. So this one is just a classic one being aged in the Southwest, which it's really, really good. It brings like a lot of like dark, kind of like leathery, but also like fruity, like grilled pineapples covered in honey type notes, and it's fantastic. And this one's the shining star of their whole, brand, which is their Dorado stuff. This stuff is their take of a peated whiskey. So this is smoked, but it's smoked with mesquite, which is like the Southwest version of peat in a way. And it's so good. It's unlike any other whiskey I've ever had, and it's truly original. So if you're someone who's heavy into like kind of like a smoky whiskey and you like a mesquite burnt wood smoke, this is going to be your favorite American single malt of all time, because this stuff is fantastic. And up next is another Southwest single malt. This stuff is actually coming out of Texas, and this is Balcones. I only have the lineage. I've tried a few of the other stuff and they're fantastic. I only have this one just because, well, I only make so much money. It is what it is. But this stuff is really good. It's very Texas. If you like Texas and you like American single malts, you have to give Balcones a try. They're amazing, amazing, amazing. It's like all that like leathery dried fruit stuff you get out of like Texas, or at least I personally do, but it's like malty all at the same time. This particular one, the lineage, is like a fruit explosion, and it's so good. And another crazy thing is this is $35 in my area. Get that, $35 for an American single malt, where like all of these, everything else on this list is like $55 a piece. This is $35. And again, they have better offerings than this. This is like their budget offering. Their other offerings are quite a bit more money. They're like $60, $70, $80. But again, they're higher proof, higher quality. So they're all well worth it in my opinion. And I just only have like the budget one because, well, again, you know how that goes. But Balcones does make some fantastic Southwest single malts, and you should definitely give them a try. Followed by the last one on this list, which is going to be Westland American Single Malt. This stuff is the newest one for me, and it's really interesting. The thing that makes this stuff interesting, so I know they have a non-peated and a peated, and then obviously like limited runoff things at like higher proof. This particular one is a non-peated one, and it's ridiculous because they use like a chocolate malt in it, and it gets super chocolatey and malty. It's like a chocolate malted milkshake, or if you made like coffee and then you use like the chocolate malted milkshake as like creamer. I don't know how to describe that in like a way that makes sense to anyone other than me, but this stuff is fantastic. It's an American single malt, but it's super earthy, dark, chocolatey, coffee maltiness. And it's really good. And it's only like $60 for like a 90 proof quality American single malt, which is pretty much the average. American single malt is not a cheap category to be getting into, but it is definitely one that I think is worthwhile because the flavor variance is so huge. Like, all these on this list are in far different spectrums. Like this one is like over here, it's like dark, dense, malty. This one's over here, it's light, vibrant. And then, this is in a whole nother spectrum of its own. It's American single malt. It's a love-hate thing for me, at least. Because with American single malt, it being such a small category, like when you get a bourbon, you know relatively what you're gonna get. When you get a rye, you know relatively what you're gonna get. With American single malt, you don't truly know because sometimes they're super malty, sometimes they're not super malty, sometimes they're super fruity, sometimes they're super dense. It's kind of a roll of the dice. But what I will say, all 5 of these on this list are well worth it, and they're all fantastic American single malts. You just maybe do a little bit of research before you get into it. But if you're looking for an American single malt distillery to try out for your first American single malt, you cannot go wrong with any of these on this list. So yeah, go ahead and check these out. If you like this review, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. Also, let me know what you guys think about these American single malts or the American single malt category. I know I've gone really crazy and like heavily into the American single malt scene, and I know a lot of people aren't quite there, but I think it's a fantastic growing scene, and I think you need to go ahead and try it out. Also, check out the Instagram, Facebook, and the Patreon. The link for that is down there below. We appreciate y'all for all your support. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.